This video essay acts as a visual component to my dissertation to complement and enhance the research I have gathered on the work of Tim Burton and films of the German Expressionist movement. The research provided aims to answer the question, what difference, if any, to the films of Tim Burton does his use of pastiche of German Expressionist films make? This dissertation ultimately hypothesizes that Burton's pastiche of Expressionist films has a major impact on the work he has produced thus far. The following video essay will illustrate this impact in psychoanalytic and aesthetic terms, arguing that these elements in fact convey the inner workings of the disturbed mind. As outlined in the written component, films of the German Expressionist movement are visually characterized by an artificial theatre-like set, oblique and curving lines, distorted perspectives and figures, and characters adorned in bold theatrical makeup, appearing to dance as opposed to walk across the sets. The pervading sense of an ominous undercurrent is a common theme among these films. The films of Tim Burton, despite their utilisation of brightly coloured pastel sets, are underpinned by similar ominous undercurrents. Edward Scissorhands depicts the idyllic white picket fence suburb of Eisenhower's America at surface level. Behind its perfectly manicured lawns, Burton's vision of Burbank encompasses a message about the shallow and cruel nature of the pressure to conform to society's standards of normality. Moreover, he portrays the consequences for those who are unable to perform to these standards. The cabinet of Dr. Caligari possesses a similar message through Caesar, who is outcasted and hunted by the people of Holstenwall due to his monstrous appearance. Caesar and Edward are exploited in ways one would only expect to see of animals in a circus. Caesar is demonized for the zombie-like behavior incurred by his hypnosis, whereas the women of Burbank make use of Edward as a hairdresser. Essentially, both are exoticized and ostracized by society. Sleepy Hollow pays homage to Expressionism, specifically Nosferatu, from its outset and throughout. The opening credits, for example, bleed slowly down the screen in an ornate font over an eerie soundtrack, reminiscent of the sharp staccato-like cuts of Murnau's Gothic-influenced typeface. The font used in the credits of Nosferatu is Berthold Herald Reklameschrift BQ. Designed by Heinz Hoffmann in 1910 and inspired by the popularity of Gothic characters, the font translates quite literally to advertising font. The use of these fonts in combination with the ghostly instrumental accompaniments of Hans Erdmann and Danny Elfman, respectively, is crucial to the consolidation of pervading ominous atmospheres at work in both Nosferatu and Sleepy Hollow. Further, it is exemplary of Burton's film garnering a sense of history as a result of adopting stylistic features of older works such as Nosferatu. Our introduction to Mr. and Mrs. Hutter sharing a loving embrace, exchanging flowers, plays out in warm sepia tones, setting a positive tone from the film's outset. The tone of the film is soon to change upon Hutter's quest to the castle of the mysterious Count Orlok. The first inclination towards a change in atmosphere comes with a close-up shot of estate agent Herr Knock, played by Alexander Granach, looking mischievously at a piece of paper containing several illegible signs and symbols, and then looking directly into the camera with a cunning expression. A similar scene occurs in Sleepy Hollow, with a close-up of Ichabod Crane, whilst on his journey to the town of Sleepy Hollow, reveals him to be observing sketches in his ledger containing symbols and methods of investigative procedures. While there is no apparent connection to a sinister motive on Crane's behalf, as he has been established as the benevolent protagonist at the point in the story, the nature of the drawings in conjunction with the purpose of his travels signifies an ominous change in atmosphere. Expressionist filming techniques come to the fore with the use of obscure camera angles, such as the low-angle shots of a disguised Count Orlok upon his entrance to the story, toward the end of Hutter's journey. Viewers being introduced to Count Orlok in this way, being forced to look up at him as opposed to directly at him, creates a feeling of danger and unease around him. This is emphasised by his dark eye makeup and long sharp features sticking out from his black hooded cloak. The camera follows the pair to the castle, which again is depicted from a low angle, making its appearance loom ominously up in the distance. Count Orlok cracks his whip from his seat at the front of the carriage, and a small Hutter looks on with unease. Sleepy Hollow utilises low and high angle camera shots to provide commentary and signify meaning. For example, at the beginning of the film there is a close-up low angle shot of Ichabod Crane looking out from a window down at the streets below. The circular shape and design of the window frame is elaborate, featuring many panels which divide it into a spiderweb-like arrangement. The use of a limited colour palette, in conjunction with the shape of the window frame and the choice of camera angle, reinforces notions of Burton having drawn on expressionist works for inspiration. Low angles are also used in the courtroom scene, where Ichabod is first informed of the goings-on of Sleepy Hollow by the intimidating burgomaster, played by Christopher Lee. The influence of expressionism on this scene is extremely evident, not only with consideration for the arrangement of the scene in combination with the use of a low angle, but also with respect for the use of low-key lighting, the inclusion of torture instruments such as the Iron Maiden, and finally the eagle, which is perched ominously behind the burgomaster.
Until you learn respect for the dignity of my office.
I beg pardon, but why am I the only one who sees that to solve crimes, to detect the guilty, we must use our brains to recognize vital clues, using up-to-date scientific techniques?
Which brings me to the second course. There is a town upstate, 2 days' journey to the north in the Hudson Highlands. It is a place called Sleepy Hollow. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
An isolated farming community, mainly Dutch. 3 persons have been murdered there, all within a fortnight. Each one found with the head lopped off.
Lopped off?
Clean as dandelion heads, apparently. You will take these experimentations of yours to Sleepy Hollow, and there you will detect the murderer. Bring him here to face our good justice. Will you do this?
I shall.
Remember, it is you, Ichabod Crane, who is now put to the test.
Further instances of low angles in the film appear in the opening credits with the pumpkin-headed scarecrow, and in later scenes depicting the exaggerated form of the Tree of the Dead. The use of warped and twisted elements is highly reminiscent of the Expressionist movement. These scenes are particularly reminiscent of the iconic shot from Nosferatu, depicting Count Orlok on board the ship to Wisborg, where he intends to seduce and kill Ellen Hutter. Positioned at the centre of the frame, he maintains a menacing presence facing downward over the audience. His unnatural features, from the length of his fingers to the shape of his ears, are emulated throughout Sleepy Hollow, their influence appearing perhaps most potently through the character of the Headless Horseman, played by Christopher Walken. The horseman is depicted in an equally unnatural fashion, with jagged, razor-sharp teeth and crystal blue eyes, which seems to pierce to the soul. The appearance of the characters Count Orlok and the horseman, in combination with their actions, epitomise the insidious and supernatural works at play within their respective narratives. For the aforementioned textual correlations between Edward Scissorhands and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and Sleepy Hollow and Nosferatu, one can determine that indeed Burton's use of pastiche of expressionist films had major implications on his own work, arguably enhancing their overall look and offering depth to their narratives.